Joining us now to talk about the weekend's demonstrations more in depth is Vernon Jones, a Georgia state representative. So Vernon, even in your state, we saw some protests take place in the city of Atlanta. For all of our viewers, that was the scene when protesters actually went up to the CNN lobby. Before we really get into all the details of it, I want to ask what your response is to these demonstrations as a whole.
Well, first of all, our hearts and our prayers go out to the family of the victim. Clearly, it was an injustice. And we believe in supporting the First Amendment rights, people coming and gathering and expressing themselves. That's a good thing. We want to protect the good protesters. But what we saw happen is that crowd associated with Antifa that want to come in and destroy our city and actually been going from city to city. They should be called and labeled domestic terrorists. They should be investigated. They should be locked up because their intent is not the intent of the protest and the march itself. And so it's sad that the victim's whole entire injustice of a death has been just completely overshadowed by these thugs and by these who are looting and all the other types of destruction they're doing to really take away from the true purpose of this march.
I think that's very well said, because this is a very legitimate cause. I mean, it's a conversation that we do need to have in this country, but it's been completely hijacked by people who don't care about this cause. I want to make that very clear. A lot of the violence that we're seeing right now, those aren't people who care about the fate of George Floyd or anything like that, or getting justice in this system. These are about people who are looking to make their own opportunity and really just get their kicks out of this situation. And in fact, you're a Democrat lawmaker who has voiced your support for President Trump, which is something that's a little bit unique in today's environment. What would you like him to do in response to this situation?
Well, first of all, this president has been very, very active from day one on responding to this particular crisis. He called all the governors and had a recent conversation with them today, as I understand, to let them know that the National Guard stand ready to be there, support them, to augment their local services. As you know, local governments should be the ones who organize and reach out to the federal government, but this president has been proactive. He's also reached out to the family, let the family know how he feels, and he's sorry. He's expressed his deepest sympathy. But also, he's gotten his Justice Department involved in looking for violations and doing investigations of George Floyd's civil rights. And that's important. This president's been very active, and he's demonstrated the leadership at the national level that really should be demonstrated at the local level. And so I'm surprised that stations like CNN and MSNBC, who refused to cover the president down at NASA during the launch, where he actually talked then and spoke publicly about what he's doing, what he has done, what he is doing, and what he's going to be doing. And so this president has demonstrated more than enough leadership, and he is very hurt by what has happened. And this president wants this country to come together, all leaders of all walks of life, to heal this country and get rid of those thugs, those who are coming and trying to destroy us, that Antifa group. They are destructive. They have a pattern of going from city to city. And those are the ones that should be labeled. And we call them domestic terrorists because that's what they are.
And when we talk about this case, for example, regarding George Floyd or the Ahmaud Arbery case as well, a big part of this is the idea that video was able to surface on social media, and that brought some public accountability into the equation. We may not even be talking about these conversations if it weren't for social media. But we saw, as for the example with CNN, we saw it at CBS Studios in Los Angeles over the weekend as well. The protesters are taking aim at the media a little bit, and some of them say that the media is complicit in this bigger idea. So I want to ask you, when it comes to the coverage of whether it's police brutality, racial injustices, systemic injustices, what can the media do to improve its coverage of these issues if there is a problem at all?
Well, first of all, there are a number of things that the media is not covering. They're not covering how the police are really putting their lives on the line, those brave men and women who are protecting young people, men and women. At the same time, CNN and others should have been calling out Antifa as they had these demonstrations and these violent behaviors and acts before. But I'm yet to see them really call Antifa out. I'm yet to see Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all the other Democrats. They should have been doing it a long time ago when this president and others were calling them out for what they're doing. And so, yes, there's biased media coverage, certainly from the liberal media. And they want to lay the blame at the national level. This is a local issue where the local leadership was not in control. They were not organized, and they did not take preemptive strikes towards these types of individuals. And this organization, don't get me wrong, Antifa is organized. They're being funded by these far left liberal groups, and they believe that they can just come and destroy this country That's their goal.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go at them head on. That's what I like about this president. He's putting every ounce of resource towards going after Antifa and others who's causing this destruction.
And in fact, I'm going to take your comments earlier a little bit further and say that, I mean, CNN anchor Chris Cuomo compared the Antifa, for example, to people storming the beaches in Normandy during World War II. And then Camu Bell, also on CNN, he did a full segment essentially glorifying what Antifa was doing. And I think that's the problem, when people in the media make it so much against President Trump that it kind of clouds their judgment when it comes to other issues. They view Antifa as something that opposes President Trump, so therefore they feel like they have to take Antifa's side. And now we look what's happening right now, and they dug themselves into a hole that's going to be hard to get out. But Vernon Jones, I really appreciate you coming on, breaking down this complicated issue for us. Thank you.